Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has reiterated his desire to run for president in 2027. It wasn't as if this wasn't clear from the beginning. He's just making it clear to remove all doubts. Some Nigerians are saying that he might be playing games, that at the end of the day he will withdraw, that these are just games to confuse Tinubu and all that. Many things they are saying. Atiku also accompanied this statement by saying that he's not desperate to be president, that he wants a Nigerian that works. Well, this statement is not entirely correct, but you can judge for yourself. Atiku Abubakar has been contesting for president since the Third Republic. That was when Abiola contested for president in 1993. He won that election, but eventually IBB annulled the election. Nigeria had to endure another 5 years under military dictatorship of General Sani Abacha, eventually returning to democracy, which birthed this Fourth Republic. And since this Fourth Republic, Atiku Abubakar has contested every election cycle. He has contested for president. The only time he didn't contest was when he was vice president, that's in 2003. As a matter of fact, he wanted to force out Olusegun Obasanjo, the then president. If he had succeeded, he would have been on the ballot in 2003. But because he didn't succeed, he continued as the vice president. Eventually, he had to decamp to another party, that's AC, and contested the presidential election in 2007. In 2011, he also contested at the party level. In 2015, he contested at the party level again, losing the primaries under APC to Buhari and Rabiu Kwankwaso. He came third in that presidential primaries of APC. Now, the next election cycle in 2019, Atiku Abubakar contested. He was on the ballot. Peter Obi was the deputy then. In 2023, he also contested the presidential election. So, someone has been contesting an election since more than 30 years. How can that not be desperate? Haba! Unlike Peter Obi, who has said that 2027 will be his last time of trying to become the Nigerian president. Yes, he will be 70 years old in 2031. So the takeaway here is that no matter how you love your country, that's if love can be measured, if there's a yardstick to measure patriotism, love, and that desire for Nigeria to work in your lifetime, if there's a way to measure this, you can understand that there reaches a time when someone will say, no, this is my time to stop, let others continue. Yes, there reaches a stage when the spirit might be willing, but the body will no longer be willing because it's getting weak. So it's better for political gladiators to retire when the ovation is loudest, so that they can retain all those honors, all those praises from people, they can retain it. But if they continue, especially when the ovation has become very low, people are not even clapping anymore. They are somehow murmuring and saying, why is this man always contesting every time? Why this, why that? A lot of grudges from people. If you live at that stage, you will be living as if you are being pushed to leave the stage. Yes. So it is best for a political gladiator in the mode of Atiku Abubakar to read the room, to understand what is happening around, to have a feeling of what people are thinking about him. If people are thinking positively about him, of course that's not the reality, but assuming that is the situation, he might say, okay, let me try this last time. But the reality remains that majority, even in his core north, they would rather the calamity continues instead of voting for Atiku Abubakar. This is the reality. Many people might not like to hear this, but no one region or zone can make anyone a president. You need at least 3 geopolitical zones to be able to become the president. That's if 2 people are contesting. Even if more than 2 persons are contesting, which naturally should go into a runoff, but he needs to read the room to understand that the ovation is at the lowest this time. So instead of making the same mistake or doing the same thing he did barely 2 or 3 years ago, how in the world is he expecting to get a different result? It doesn't make any sense. Exactly the same process, exactly the same procedure. The only difference this time is that he's running under a new coalition, which of course, majority of the people in this coalition are his allies in his former party, the PDP. Yes, it's just like running under PDP again. That's why his allies in ADC are pushing for his candidacy. You hear lines like, if anyone is popular. Atiku Abubakar has said this himself, that if anyone feels he's very popular, he should submit himself to a presidential primaries. That way the person can test the popularity. If he wins, that others are obligated to back him in the presidential election proper. It sounds nice and good when they drop that line. Submit yourself to a presidential primaries. Only if you know that the presidential primaries they are referring to will be a bazaar where delegates or whoever votes in that presidential primaries will vote for the highest bidder. Yes, all the people cheering him on to contest and all that, they are only hoping for that money, that bazaar that will come. These people are not interested in whether he wins the election or whether the majority of Nigerian people actually want him on the ballot. All that, they are not interested. What they are looking at and hoping that it will materialize is that bazaar they call presidential primaries, where they will share millions of dollars. Imagine a delegate getting as much as $30,000 or $35,000, just one delegate, in order to vote for the presidential candidate. So it's just like people that rig elections in APC, and before the opponent even shouts, the election was rigged, they will back at the person, go to court if you don't agree with the result. They already know that the courts are in their pocket. Go there, you will be disgraced. They will use the same money they used to buy the election and buy the courts and buy the judgment to their favor. So looking at how 2027 presidential election will be, you will see that we will have three major candidates in that election. Peter Obi already said that he must be on the ballot in 2027. And with the Labour Party leadership crisis nearly getting resolved, if the Nana Usman-led committee eventually fixes their national convention, maybe later this year or early next year, and they go on to hold a national convention where they will elect their national officers and state officers, that means the leadership crisis in Labour Party will be finally resolved. And that also means that Peter Obi would have a party that he can run on. He wouldn't need to rely on ADC, because if they fail to zone the presidential ticket to the south, that's a natural way to eliminate Atiku Abubakar and his dollars. Then it will mean that Obi will stand no chance. That's the reality. No other person can stand any chance against Atiku Abubakar, because he's ready to spend even $100 million to buy that ticket. Yes. And looking at how Nigeria is today, people will sell their souls just to get that money. They are not interested in a Nigeria that works for everyone. You have that dream, but many people don't share that dream. They see every opportunity as their time to kill it, their time to make it. Yes. So that reality we are facing again in 2027 is that three major candidates will be on the ballot. There's no way Atiku Abubakar is going to back down. If Peter Obi doesn't agree to contest the presidential primaries, that's if they fail to zone it, then he's going to contest under Labour Party, and Atiku Abubakar will eventually snatch a ticket in ADC, and that means two of them are going to face Tinubu in 2027. Yes, this will be the likely outcome. Atiku Abubakar knows that he's running out of time. He will be 81 years old in 2027, the election year. So imagine if he fails to run in 2027, is he going to stand a chance in 2031 when he will be 85 years old? So he's running out of time. On Peter Obi's side, he will be 70 years old in 2031, like already said. And bearing in mind that in 2031, it will be the turn of the North to produce the president. Someone like Peter Obi wouldn't put himself on the ballot in 2031 when he knows it's not the turn of the South. Yes, so you can see time is running out for Peter Obi, is also running out for Atiku Abubakar. What is going to happen before that time? Is any of them going to step down for the other? It doesn't look likely, but we'll be watching to see what will happen. There's still enough time before the election of 2027. You can never say never in Nigerian politics. Thanks for watching.